first time they've really faced adversity. How are they handling it so far? And I mean, are they using it as motivation, or is it discouraging them?
Find out today. Don't know yet. The one thing that I've said to them, going into this game is overcoming adversity together, which I feel like we were doing that. And there was adversity in all three of the first 3 games, of which we overcame adversity together. And then in this game, you go into the halftime down 27-7, and there wasn't any heads down. There wasn't any give up mentality. There was a bunch of motivated, eager kids to go back out there and play. And we won the third quarter. We got out there and we battled hard in the third quarter. Offensively, we scored 14. I think defensively, we stopped them 3 or 4 times, to the point to where we got ourselves back in the game. So I felt like we did that. And then obviously, due to a couple of things that happened on all 3 sides of the ball, they wore us out in the fourth quarter. So I anticipate they'll come back and they'll be ready to play today.
You mentioned a couple of times already in the past about being able to communicate with Gio, like during the play, I guess, or in between the call and the snap. How it seems like a lot has to happen. What goes into that is just to making sure. How does that happen? I guess because it's quick.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of nonverbal communication through signals, through body language, through stares. I mean, I can get aggravated, and if I'm aggravated, he probably needs to figure out why I'm aggravated. And that's through that's not something that you can just take a class on, and it's a lot like the nonverbal communication that exists between him and Stedman and Ivan due to the fact that they've been playing together for a long time. Just the whole nod, yes, I get it, I know what you mean, we'll do it, and just they go do it. We'll get there. We'll be better at it this week than we were last week.
Is that as much as anything one of those things he has to grow into? Because if you don't know each other, you're obviously not going to know those things right away. He has a rapport with his receivers. It takes time, I'm guessing?
Yeah, which is why I signal to him every day, and it's just the same way every day, to where sometimes I do something different and he won't understand it, which means he just sits and he stares. And then we do it again, and then he goes, oh, yeah, I got it. And because if I just make it very cut and dry, plain as day, then everybody in the stands can figure out what the play is, right? So we got a lot of different ways of communicating, a lot of different signals, and that's really just between me and him and nobody else.
There was a point on Saturday where I think you guys were in a 4th and 4, and he kind of hurried everybody to the line. Is that part of it, or was that kind of his decision saying, hey, we can get this and go?
No, we don't put that on him.
Okay. I figured that, but I figured it out.
That would be unfair to him. No, that was something we'd kind of talked about, and it's got to be the right time, right place, right time. We were down. I don't remember which one you were talking about. But, no, that's on us. And his job is when the play's over to get his eyes on me and figure out what I want to do.
Do you feel a coach has to coach their team differently after a loss, or try to be the same, or feel out the mood and then go from there?
I'd probably every week's different, probably depends on how the loss was, what happened, who you're playing. What the mood is. You got to figure out, what the beat of your team is, and you got to address it, which that starts today.
You mentioned no sacks in the last game. Right now, so much talk in the preseason about Julian and Bruce, and they've got 1 combined sack. What, is something going wrong, or are they being lead on? What are you seeing up front?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We got to keep working at it, and whatever the reasons are, they got to overcome them, and if that's frustration to the point to where we're not getting the effort where we want it to be, then they need to figure out a way to get the effort, but it's something that we've talked about. It's something, it has nothing to do with coaching, because it's the same guys, same scheme, same everything, same kids. So, it's just the way it is. Maybe people are keying on them more. Maybe, maybe the schemes are built into the point to where they know what they're getting. But regardless of what the excuses are, You know, our job is to figure out the best way to put them in a position to be successful, and their job as players is to work hard and prepare to get ready to play the game and then give everything you got.
Coach, you guys have given up about 130 yards on the ground defensively. Have you seen any improvement in the past few games, or is there any concern for you heading into the Big East play soon?
You know, there is some concern playing against LSU as far as the run game and being physical, and we responded to that challenge. You know, we got a little wore down in the fourth quarter, you know, but you know, they're a good running team. They had those backs look good now. I mean, those were some quality running backs that we were trying to tackle. So, you know, it's about figuring out what the schemes are that you're going against, and Bowling Green's going to come in with you know, with a run game that's challenging with a couple of backs that one's averaging over 100, and you know, our job's to fill gaps, play physical, and stop the run.
Yeah, you'll have a lot to do with scheduling in the future, right? This is one of those buy-in games. Do you have an idea how you want to eventually shape that when you have to fill a hole with a quote-unquote non-BCS school? Do you have a region you want to go to, a circle you would draw around and try to stay within? How would you do that?
I think this fits that. You know, I mean, we got a lot of kids from Ohio. You know, there's a lot of good quality MAC opponents over there that, you know, aren't as quality as this one. These guys have won a bunch of MAC championships, you know, and been to a bunch of bowl games, and like I said earlier, over the last 10 years have won a whole bunch of games for AQ members, you know, so you know, this is a quality opponent. I mean, this isn't a fill-in game, this is a quality opponent.
Would you stay regional, or would you reach a little bit longer in Texas, for example, some schools you know there that...
I don't know. You know, I think you got to take every. You gotta figure it out. I don't know. That's a good question. Scheduling's done so far in advance, you know, that you don't. This thing's been scheduled for quite some time. I don't know. Shoot, there's only like one opening in the next 5 years, you know. So shit, I don't even know what I'm doing next week.
Talked about Bowling Green's run game a little bit. I don't know how much attention you've been able to pay to their offense, but in terms of their passing game, what is it that they're doing so well to have such a turnaround from what they did last year to the success they've had through the first few weeks this season?
Yeah, I didn't watch any of their stuff from last year. I just watched, you know, bits and pieces of what they're doing this year, you know, which, so it's like I mentioned earlier, Coach Clausen's a good football coach. He's an offensive guy. He's a quarterback guy. You know, the couple of places that he was at prior to Bowling Green went in and rebuilt it, you know, and got to the point where they were winning a whole bunch of games, which is why he's moved up the coaching ladder. So I imagine it has everything to do with him knowing what he's doing offensively and being able to coach the quarterbacks to go with the ball where they want them to go with the ball, and have enough guys where they can make some plays. They're relatively young. I mean, he went in there a couple years ago, had a whole bunch of seniors, won a whole bunch of games, lost all those seniors, and then last year and this year playing a lot with a bunch of inexperienced guys. You know, I think they got about 16 freshmen in their 2 deep. You know, and they probably got another 10 sophomores in their 2 deep. So they're a young football team that's rebuilding, which means they're going to continue to get better. You know, in the first 4 games they've gotten better.
You played the Oklahoma elsewhere. How did this LSU team, right? You know, they're number 1 now compared to those kind of teams.
They're as good as any of them teams. You know, whether the ball bounces in their direction the next 9 games to the point to where they got a chance to play in the big one or not, I don't know. I mean, they play good quality people. You know, they play other good teams. As far as the talent, the coaching, the schemes, they're as good as any of those other schools.
Danny, you were apparently perturbed a couple times when your offense got slowed down by injuries on the other teams. Anything that can be done about that? Has that happened to you before? I don't know, we would call it a tactic, but
yeah, it exists. I don't know if it happens Saturday or not. I mean, it exists in college football, and that's not any of my business. There's nothing I can do about it. It has everything to do with the referees and how they manage the game and how they and what they think's going on. You know, so you know that I can't do anything about it. You know, and I'm not going to worry about it, and we're not going to we're going to attempt to get our players to where that doesn't destroy our momentum if it is happening. Just much like a penalty on us or a turnover or whatever it is, we just got to keep playing the next play.
Okay, thank you, Coach.